Hello folks, it's Lucce and this is neweconomies.com. We're here in New York in the CryptoCommons space together with Alice.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Now tell us about CryptoCommons. This is a pretty cool space you got here.
Well, thank you. My name is Dr. Alex Cahana and I am head of the Crypto Health Advisory at CryptoOracle. We are a community-first VC crypto fund, and CryptoCommons is part of our concept of building a community. So we have here multiple companies that are engaged in building blockchain-based solutions, and this is a great place to interact. We have a lovely roof and
it's a beautiful place here.
Yeah.
So you were telling us earlier you had led 4 lives. I'm surprised it's not like 16. But tell us your journey into crypto and blockchain, starting with your first life.
Well, my first life was military, so I'll be like what they told me. The military is be bold, be brief, and be gone. So I won't speak too much, but I was in the military, and the reason I say that is because in the military, not only are we mission-driven and data-driven and situation-aware, but we really understand that none of us is as good as all of us. So this whole idea of decentralization, this whole idea of distribution, this whole idea of interdependence is central to our DNA and who we are. And I think that's why a lot of soldiers that I remember are in the crypto space.
Right.
That's the first life, I would say. The second life, I spent over 25 years as a professor in pain medicine. I built pain departments in Israel, in Japan, in Switzerland, and in the United States. So it's safe to say that I'm familiar with the global healthcare industry, both from a physician or provider perspective, a patient advocate perspective, but also in terms of running a business. How does it go with research and grants and the federal government, but also with the industry and the insurance companies and micro and macro payments. So I was really fortunate to go through, I've always loved this kind of idea of systems thinking, that you can do a lot of research and development, but if you actually don't have a system that can deliver novelties to patients in an accessible way without barriers, then the system is not successful. When I came to the States, I was really sucked into the opioid epidemic, so that drew me into my third life, which was more the legislative, regulatory landscape. I always was interested in patient-reported outcomes and in digital integration. I used to call it digiceuticals, like pharmaceutical. So digiceuticcal integration in the workflow. I remember back in 2007, I had this radical idea of measuring patient-reported outcomes. There was barely mobile was out, there was no cloud computing, the quantified self wasn't even a concept. And really is how can you engage patients to report about themselves as part of the treatment, as part of the therapeutic act. I worked with the federal government, became a subject matter expert for the Department of Defense and the VA, NFL Players Association, first responders, large healthcare systems that really deal with issues of public health. And my current life, hopefully not my last, but my current life is here in New York City. I continued my legacy consulting to the federal government, but also started to consult and advise investment firms. And in the beginning was disruptive technologies that we all think of when we talk about medicine, genomics, artificial intelligence, and biopharma, medical devices. But what really got me excited is when I started to learn about distributed ledger technology, and I said, oh my God, this is something totally different. And that's how my love story with crypto started.
Tell us a little bit about something that the crypto space usually is very far from, that is an example to society, that is receiving the presidential medal.
Oh, well, I think you have never accepted to a job or you never receive a medal because of you. You always receive it because it fits what the system wants. I think that people always think, oh, they got me for this job or received this award because I was so good. It has nothing to do with it. I think that really where recognition is not for yourself, it is for the people that work with you. I'm just a storyteller. I just tell a story, and behind me are teams of people who have dedicated their lives, in this case, to save people from opioid overdose. So in that sense, it's important not only to be fearless, but also to be selfless. This is not about medals, this is not about awards, this is about, I always say, not to do things right, but to do the right thing.
Right.
So what's the story behind Crypto Sherpa?
Ah,
That's your nickname, right?
that's my moniker, Crypto Sherpa. Well, it started like that. First of all, how I got into CryptoOracle, I was in one of these investment firms, and Lou Kerner, who really is one of the most known influencers in the crypto space, he heard me speak and said, I started a VC fund called CryptoOracle. Do you want to join? I said, sure. He says, don't you want to know what you're going to do? I said, we'll figure it out after I join. And immediately, it was, I think I woke up from the New Year's coma, so January 2nd, we started to work, and Lou said, Alex, you got to blog. So started to blog, started to create my own voice in the crypto health space, almost like blockchainizing healthcare and healthifying crypto, if that's a word. And as I was writing and became the top crypto health blogger, and now my 12-year-old respects me. But as I was writing, I remember one of my clients said to me, "Oh, Dr. Cahana, you helped me so much." And honestly, I didn't feel that I did anything, So I said, "Just what did I do?" I said, "I don't know. I was confused in my head, but I listened to you, and you clarified me, and you shepherded me out of this." And it's like the word shepherd kind of stuck into my head, but I found it a little bit, I don't know, like I'm the shepherd.
Biblical.
Exactly, a little bit biblical. And so, but as in association, I said Sherpa sounds good, because you're like up in the air where it's hard to breathe without the oxygen. Everybody kind of walks up once, to stick their flag, and I do it 15 times a day, carrying everybody's, schlepping everybody's stuff, and nobody knows my name. And what appealed to me most about the Crypto Sherpa is that they help people get down from the summit, because apparently that's where you die. It's getting down, not climbing up. So I like the Crypto Sherpa. It stuck, and I wear this moniker very proudly.
So, and tell us what are some exciting projects you're working on now? Sort of what's next for you?
Well, I wouldn't venture too far away, because every day changes. We meet and then we say, okay, let's be on this show. But I would say that the three things that I would like to do is, one, to continue to explain to the general public as well as the crypto community the aboutness of blockchain. I think that there's a lot of confusion. People don't explain it well. I think the reason why they don't explain it is because they describe it and don't explain it. When someone says blockchain is a distributed ledger, that's not an explanation. It's just a description. It's like, if you don't know what that is, it doesn't mean anything. It's like saying water is H2O. If I don't know what H is and what O is, you can say water is WATER. So anyway, so to explain really the aboutness of blockchain, and continue and teach young minds, young creative minds about the world that is around us, so that they actually build solutions for real problems and not solutions that are looking for a problem. I've been very fortunate to be involved in a couple of very interesting large-scale projects that I think hold a lot of promise to healthcare. And I think that the most important thing is to ease ourselves, because I don't see the blockchain space, especially in healthcare, as something revolutionary, but more evolutionary. So it's kind of almost to ease the enterprise, the large healthcare systems with their legacy systems, embrace distributed ledger technology and use it together with AI, with IoT, with edge computing, to really improve the quality of care. And I'm not talking about fancy treatments to people who have very unique diseases. I'm talking about the bulk of the burden of illness, which is mental health, depression, anxiety, diabetes, obesity, heart disease. We really need to create a world that is healthier. And the reason I say this is, I explain to people that what blockchain will do is transform people from passive healthcare consumers, because this is what we do now, we just consume stuff.
Healthcare.
Yeah, services. More and it's more expensive. And, pills are more expensive, more pills, more money, more devices, more stuff. So we need to transform people from healthcare, health service consumers to health producers.
Right.
And a lot of it started with the whole quantified self and Fitbit and stuff,
Yes.
but it's not enough to be a health producer.
Or an active participant
It's
in
not
the
a-
change, the change agents
True.
in the healthcare.
But what blockchain does is it adds another thing, because it's not enough to be just a health producer. Because if an insurance company saves $25,000 every year because I'm not anymore on drugs, giving me a $50 coupon is not fair.
Yes.
So now, thanks to a token economy that also can include securitized assets, security tokens, now actually we can also be generators of wealth. So we transform people from health consumers to health and wealth producers. And how cool is that? That you actually own part of that platform that makes you healthier.
I love this because it's a very look from the Sherpa's view, sort of
From the top of the mountain.
from the top of the mountain.
And the bottom of the valley.
Yes, so it's about generating this transformation that people need it. People maybe are willing to do it, but they need a compensation. And what's incredible is that the compensation should already be means to being healthier, but sometimes it's not enough. And I see that in the blockchain space, there's a lot of ways of giving these incentives for you to be healthier, giving this incentive for you to protect your privacy and your information and keeping your things. But sort of it's a transformation, because right now people don't see, they understand it, but they're sort of not willing. It's like life is too demanding and too challenging right now to also onboard something else. And one thing is the little people, the small amount of people that slowly try to make the change and can go over the challenge. But the masses, I think they sort of, if they have this kind of tools, they will sort of they will really see the advantage. But even in a how do you say this, like a way to monetize, so it's a double advantage.
And I think there are two things. You said a few things that are all correct, and I want to unpack that for a second. There are a couple of things. One is that when you say blockchain, different people think of different things. You know, some love the technology. They get all excited about the relational database. They get excited about the encryption. They get excited about zero knowledge proof and Z-snarks. And so there's just genuine things that if you're not a technologist, you don't understand. But I've seen folks, that just really get excited.
Yes.
Then you have folks that get excited from the currency aspect, the trading aspect, being involved in economy, being involved, creating new financial instruments, which hopefully, you can create fractional ownership and immediate liquidity in a 24/7 market with global standards. So I see those also get excited. What really excites me is that it fundamentally changes the way we interact with each other. Because by the virtue of its connection, by the virtue of its transparency, it not only in your design you can encourage people to behave well, but you can also discourage predatory activity,
Yes.
which you can't when you have a centralized system. In a centralized system, you can, it's collusion vulnerable, it's censorship vulnerable, it's attack vulnerable. So what really excites me, and I explain that because people come to me and say, Dr. Cahana, why is it, or how come blockchain do you think are so good for healthcare? And you can go through a laundry list. I think the World Economic Forum had those 11 reasons why this. You can say, it's because it's immutable, and because there's some transparency, and there's encryption, and there's all these kind of features. But it's not that. It's when I ask you, what is the opposite of health? What would you say? The opposite of health is
Disease.
Disease, right? Disease,
Illness.
And that's what 99.9% of people would answer. And that's why the system is broken. Because the opposite of health is not disease. The opposite of health, and bear with me for a minute, the opposite of health is isolation.
And that's the true disease.
Exactly. And so through disease and illness, your world contracts and contracts and becomes smaller and smaller until one day you wake up and you say, this is not worth it. And then you take a Xanax and an OxyContin, and if you're a woman, you take a Chardonnay, and if you're a man, you take a single malt, and you overdose. And this happens every 7 minutes. Well, and we're addicted to everything. We're addicted to work. We're addicted to sugar. We're addicted to too much consumption. Our main disease is called affluenza, right? We have too much. But truly, the problem is isolation. So if you agree with me that the opposite of health is isolation, then the journey back to wellness is through connectedness.
Yes.
Connectedness with our data,
And then
with our family, with our friends.
That's why with blockchain is that you draw on these philosophical and theological explanations that is essentially applied in the blockchain industry, in that you break down the explanation and help us understand that what is the true essence of blockchain? What is it really solving? And that's what is it, from what I'm hearing you say, it's solving the issue of connectivity on a massive scale. And you said it really nicely. You phrased it that blockchain is a software solution to
The social problem of trust.
Yes.
And the way I explain it to my
connection issue.
and the way I explain it to my 12-year-old is, if you take the I out of illness and you replace it with we, what do you get?
Wellness.
And so again, these are not short sound bites. These are really deep reflections on the intentionality behind what we're doing here. Because there are a lot of layers and a lot of elements, like I said, in technology, in finances, in behavior economics, that are linked to this type of, that are linked to distributed ledger technology. But in essence, what is actually happening here is that if you take history from World War II to, the 80s, the world was authoritative. Governments, schools, families, hospitals, you'd go to the doctor, tell you what to do. Your parent would tell you what to do. The government would tell you what to do. You'd live in a democracy, but you'd be told what to do.
Yes.
When I grew up, I was a kid, I wouldn't speak unless spoken to.
Yes. So
In
how
the
do you see
80s
this transition from the centralized, fear-based, authoritative, big brother
Restrictive.
world to this new world in which we also have the tools, not only the mentality, but the tools for us to be able to control our own things? How's that transition?
That's those are the next step, because it's not the technology, but it's the society that's embracing the technology. So after that, in the 80s, when Reagan started in deregulation and the internet came and there was democratization of knowledge, then we said, everything has to be centric. Human-centric, patient-centric, student-centric. We had these tools to allow us, to make more information be part of it. But then came 2008, and we found out that all these trust agents that were supposed to look after us, they lied to us.
Yes.
And so representative democracy failed because our representatives don't represent us. And so what happened after 2008? Started a movement of holacracy. Holacracy, of self-assembling teams. You didn't go and apply to a job. You didn't apply to a job. You just one day woke up. You had this urge. You had that problem. You started up your media company. You saw Alice and said, come on board. Lou saw me, came and said, come on board. And we're just doing things. GSD, getting stuff. I'll say stuff for that. Getting stuff done. right?
Yes.
And there's no job description. I'm not elected to the job. I'm not nominated.
There's an about page, about us page.
And so it's no more human centric. It's human driven.
Yes.
It's student driven. It's patient driven.
Because we are students of life.
Exactly. And so when I teach my students now, they tell me, I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, tell me, and then I tell them if it makes sense or not.
Right.
And so this is the world of tomorrow, where we work with dyads, with machines that will help us with the menial tasks that we don't want to do all day long, while we will concentrate on creativity and holocratic activity. And so this is the movement. This is where blockchain fits in. AI, machine learning, reinforcement learning, deep reinforcement. These are all just recipes of the cake. But the cake itself is really the distributed ledger technology.
Well, there you have it. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Cahana.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. I'm about to get my cake. And if you want your cake, please subscribe to neweconomies.com. Thanks for watching.